chain smokes and he says fuck a lot, and he accepts you for who you are. His name is Jamie Dlux, and he recently got kicked off YouTube for outing pedophiles. He chain smokes and he says fuck a lot.
So, Celia, good to see you again.
Hey, Jamie. Good to see you. Here we are.
Yeah,
Lots
finally.
to talk about, huh?
Yeah, now we get something. Well, I mean, I heard your book was coming out on 420. I was kind of excited. I thought that was in honor of me, but it came out like a month earlier.
Yes, the pub date got pushed back. That's
By
correct.
the way, I just want to say I finished it today. Now, all right, let's be clear. I already read
it. Yeah.
I actually, of course, I read it. I helped on it. I helped on that. Let everybody know that I helped on it because I've been saying that everywhere.
Totally helped you.
I did help. I helped her. I mean, she already wrote it years ago, but the new publisher wanted citations, so I helped her last year.
You were the A team.
I don't even know how I did it, but I'm proud. I am very proud of it. Honestly, I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, we got it done. You were terrific, and
Thank
you. This is kind of boring, but it came out before in 2006, and
Yeah.
it was not annotated. This one is annotated.
That's the right word, annotated.
I think so.
Okay, I've been saying source cited. I don't know. I just know I helped on it.
Yep, we learned how to do annotations.
Kind of.
Kind of.
Well, you know what? I'm pretty excited because I think I'm getting my hard copy tomorrow. That's what the United States Post Office says. I ordered it. I pre-ordered it like the beginning of the month. But it should be here tomorrow.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for that.
Of course. I'm going to send it to you, and you got to sign it and send it back to me. So.
Of course. So
Yes.
What was it like reading it? Did you know everything already?
I pretty much, I'll tell you something that stood out. Because I didn't know this before. Now, well, let me be clear. I did read your book last year, but it's different because I read it on it's on archive.org.
No, not anymore.
Oh, really? It's not? Well, it was. Now, I'm really busy all the time, so I didn't really have time to sit and read it, but you can hit listen. You can listen to it with a robot voice, but it's hard to really take the information with a robot reading to you, So I did listen to it all, though. I did. But it's a robot. Whoever read it on Audible did a really good job, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, and as soon as I woke up yesterday, I got it on Audible, and I finished it today at work. So, the only thing I didn't really know was how you had mentioned Peter Staley back then.
Oh, yeah. Peter Staley is a key figure. Very key.
Well, because you were the one that told me about him being Jeff Staley's brother. And I recently made that video about Jeff Staley, Epstein, Peter Staley, and Fauci. So I didn't know any of that. But I knew it now, but I just rereading your book, I heard it again. And I was like, oh, yeah. Look at that. Yeah.
Well, let's tell people what we mean, what we're talking about. So first of all, that is true. Jeff Staley is Peter Staley's brother.
Yeah.
Jeff Staley had to resign as CEO of Barclays Bank in the UK recently for his intimate connection to Jeffrey Epstein. Something like 1,200 emails.
Yeah, talking about Disney stuff, like Disney princesses.
Code words and things.
Mm-hmm.
So this was reported on in the British press.
Yeah, like Daily Mail and stuff like that.
And what to make of it? I mean, to me, it's very alarming. I didn't know all these years. Look, here's what I did know: that Peter Staley, who, for the purposes of people who have no idea who or what we're talking about, was the tip of the spear of ACT UP back in the day.
I didn't know that either.
The face of it, the face and force and perhaps brain of the mission to swarm the FDA in 1987 and put so much pressure through. They did like body activism. They did things with their bodies, tied themselves to things and chained themselves to radiators at the FDA, et cetera, in order to apply pressure to get the FDA to approve AZT in no time at all. So that was Peter Staley. He's very, very. I haven't followed him closely, but he's a professional AIDS activist, very, very close.
Because he says he tested, with Fauci, with that thing you shared with me, but he tested positive for HIV back in the 80s. I still get some people comment like, well, what's he doing to be alive, to still being healthy today? Like, don't you fucking get it yet? I mean, have you been out and watching my fucking videos? What's he doing? It's not doing the fucking HIV drugs. It's not what he's doing. I'll tell you that.
I can't say whether he is. There are people who do take those drugs that stay alive a very long time. It's not a clean cut picture, I have to say.
You're right.
It's very weird. There are so many drugs, so many combinations, so many outcomes. All we know is that we know a lot, but for the death sentence was completely unwarranted. The death sentence as it was back then. Yeah. And they didn't really changed it was now they've changed it. What if you test positive for HIV, you'll die fast.
Yeah.
And then what it used to be in the beginning, it was 6 months, then it became a year, and then it was 3 years, and then maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 15, maybe 20, maybe 30. So everything in HIV theory is very elastic.
You're right about that, because I assume that, especially with like Magic Johnson, but there's no actual proof that he hasn't been taking something.
With the figure, we have no idea what they're doing.
You're right. I don't believe they are, though. Honestly, I don't. But that would mean they're in on something, and I guess that's not provable, to be honest.
But what do you, with the research you do, what does it mean to you that Jeff Staley tied in with Epstein is Peter Staley's brother? Now, Peter Staley's he's not his brother, he's himself. But what does it mean?
What's it mean? I don't know. I told you that one loose connection that I found where Epstein was trying to said he was going to sell DNA data, that he was his Southern Trust Company, DNA data mining in where do you live? Fucking Virgin Islands. He's gonna sell that to the NIH. So he obviously knew somebody there, but that's nothing really. That's a loose connection. So I mean, I don't know.
Well, you did connect. I seem to recall you connected Fauci to Epstein somehow.
That's the only way, not directly. Just to the NIH. Okay. And then that added to it the Jeff Staley piece. I mean, I have a brother. We're pretty close. I think I would know some of his, especially back then when we were younger, I would know some.
Yeah, in all fairness, you can't hold people accountable for any of family members or friends or associates, and yet it feels to me like there's something deeply troubling about it. I always suspected, we all did, but never had any proof that there were deep roots in the AIDS activist movement to what we today call, I mean, I guess that's kind of obvious. Their agenda is the same as the globalist NWO deep state agenda.
Yeah, but you're right, though. They could be just being used and paid off, because they are paid off somewhat, at least. So I did think it was weird, though, back then that they were like paying them. Weren't they paying them to like advise stuff on drugs and stuff like that? What's his name?
What happened was when Fauci brought the AIDS activists into to the table, famously, so that they were in the rooms negotiating about all the different drugs and everything they wanted approved and when and how they wanted it approved. They gained this. It was like a fusion. They gained this power that normally patients don't have. So everybody was conditioned to praise and hail that the afflicted patient group was now dictating the terms of the drugs the FDA was going to approve for them.
Yeah.
To me, this is like where everything goes dark.
I mean, if you think about it, that's really weird. Can you picture them doing that? Except for that.
Well, what happens is the whole world gets affected by this now broken down and demolished, essentially, FDA safety and efficacy drug approval process. Whatever it was before, it was better. It was something. It was said to take years.
It still wasn't good. It still wasn't good though.
It was good, but it was better than nothing, which is what we have now. There's
Yeah,
nothing.
I agree. But I mean, I found videos back from early 70s, 60s, like they were trying to like Laetrile for cancer.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard about this or whatever. When they were like, they were saying it's non-toxic. People that take it think it has a benefit, but that's purely psychological. You know, people that don't take it, or there's two groups: people that take it and think it's beneficial, people that don't take it and don't believe in it. So we're going to make it illegal. You know, and if it's just like from apricot seeds, why would you make it? You know, why would you make it illegal? And then there's other. No, he wasn't an FDA scientist. He was a fuck. What was it? What was the Cancer Institute? Whatever it was, I don't remember. But he was saying, well, you know, they were like, what happens when the public sees this? He's like, the public doesn't read scientific literature, scientific papers. The public doesn't read those. So I don't think it'd be affected at all. You know, because he was right though.
Yeah.
What was it? Sloan Kettering. That's what it was.
Yeah. I mean, I think cancer research is less filthy than AIDS research.
Yeah, you're right.
And COVID
Still pretty bad though.
COVID doesn't even try to have any research.
Yeah.
You know? Doesn't even try. So we're really it's a complete civilizational collapse. That I believe the real wedge weapon was HIV/AIDS. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know any of this 3 years ago before COVID. So that's one thing it did. It did wake a lot of people up to what's going on here, which is, I've been fascinated with it for the last 2 years, 2.5, 3 years. I've been fascinated. I mean, I think I've made like at least 35 videos dealing with HIV since then. So
your videos are great. They have this really unique, rare quality. I love them. They're excellent. When I first discovered you, I was like, wow, who is this guy? He's doing.
I don't even know what I'm doing.
You got like, so we were this whole international, you know, we were like a persecuted tribe around the world, the AIDS deniers or AIDS dissidents or whatever to call us, people who were against this monstrosity, right?
Yeah.
But with your videos, I feel like you found stuff that none of us found. I'm trying to remember now what it was, but every time I watched one of your videos.
I know one that you shared though was Gaidashik, which was kind of yeah.
That's huge. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. Gaidashik.
No one does, but I think it's from, because I've read just with my ears inventing the AIDS virus like at least 15 times, you know?
Okay, let's try to tell people what we're talking about.
They probably see my videos.
Well, so I'll say this much, and then you'll pick up where you know a lot more than I do. But I will say this: Peter Duesberg, for the audience, primary objector to HIV theory, or the most famous of all the objectors, because they can't target and dismantle everybody, so they'll choose like a sacrificial object, and that's what he was.
Yeah.
He's still alive, thank God.
Yeah, he is. I tried to contact him, but he had a stroke like 2 years ago, his wife said.
Yeah,
but he's still alive. Yeah.
But anyway, he used to go on about Gajdusek. You know, Peter's way is like jokey, and you can't really tell is he joking. But so Gajdusek is actually the father of this whole monstrosity, because he came up with slow viruses. Duesberg always said famously, there are no slow viruses, only slow retrovirologists. So HIV, the way you were supposed to be in the trance, the way to go into the trance about HIV was to accept that it was a slow virus. Like I said, could kill you in 6 months or 30 years. We don't really know. But there are no cofactors. No. Do not talk about what might affect. Is it 6 months or 30 years? Yeah. So the whole thing is hogwash. But anyway, back to Gajdusek. So he a very famous swashbuckler, world traveling. I don't want to get us sued, but I think it's documented that he brought children under the wing of the NIH. Children he was like child trafficking, basically.
Pretty much. I mean, he had like 50 foster kids, around that many, like 50. So that he adopted from
What else? What else was known about him?
Well, I mean, he no. What's known is he was arrested for oral sex with some of his foster kids, and he only spent like a year in jail, but that's how it usually goes. So he was accused and arrested and accused by others later on too. So he is, a convicted child molester or whatever you want to, pedophile, whatever the word is.
He's a convicted pedophile.
He's a convicted pedophile and an admitted pedophile. He admits it too.
That's right. I remember now. He's a proud pedophile.
Yes. Yes.
In fact, I remember one of the things he said is that if you don't have sex with your own children, you're not a good parent.
Exactly. Intergenerational sex. He thinks that was one of the worst things that happened to society is we're not having intergenerational sex, not helping our mothers and fathers have fun in sex, is what he said.
It's really out there. So, okay, so let's tie him in. What does he have to do with the HIV/AIDS juggernaut and industry and mindset?
Well,
Gallo.
Yes,
So Gadusek and Gallo are like peas in a pod, and Gallo defended him.
Not only did he defend him, he helped bail him out of jail.
That's right. He gave him
a
money.
Significant. I don't remember exactly how much, but like tens of thousands of dollars to help get him out of jail. Tens of thousands.
So everyone's into dot connecting. Are these dots that are connecting between pedophilia, child trafficking, and AIDS research, or what? Or is that just a fluke? I'll say what I think. I think that one of the last unturned stones in all of this is how HIV was used as a cover for so many evil, nefarious things, including child trafficking.
For experimentation, or just for, is that what you mean?
What did you say?
For experimentation, is that what you're talking about? Or just...
Well, do you remember when the Clinton Foundation...
Haiti. And shit like
was
that.
An AIDS...
Yes.
...operation, and they were caught trafficking children. So as soon as you get into, AIDS orphans...
Well, you know that...
it's just so dark and dodgy, and I'm not an expert on it, but
I know some because I've made a lot of videos. There was another couple connected to the Clinton Foundation that opened in foster or orphanage in Haiti, and I gotta rewatch my own videos.
Was the name Laura Silsby? Was she?
No, that's one of them. That's the most famous one. There's another one though that I found. I know the guy's name is Clay. I don't remember the specifics. But I did make a video about it. It's Clay something. His wife is connected to the Clinton Foundation, and I got to rewatch my own video, honestly.
With all of these unending NGOs, organizations like charities all over the world, AIDS, what are they doing?
I think they're if they're giving like antiretrovirals to because Africa, they're just pushing them there. Well, they were. Now they're all taking them, right? Pretty much. I don't know if they still are, but I'm assuming they are. Keeping people sick and helping them die.
So you think it's primarily depopulation?
I think so. Because, all right, well, after we at least some of us know that it wasn't vaccines or whatever that saved everybody, that made people start living. It was sanitation. And that's a fact. That's documented. It's not really talked about much. I mean, it is in certain books, but I think, the population started growing, and they had to find ways to get people to die sooner. And this is one of them. I mean, I made I found connections between Operation Paperclip and a doctor that worked at the Pittsburgh Pediatrics Center, or I don't know the exact name for it, but Dr. Day. And he gave a lecture in 1969 talking about all this.
Oh, absolutely. I've listened to every word of that thing several times.
Exactly. All right. So, all right. And
absolutely.
They have to get the population down, and they're infiltrating housing and stuff like that. And I just re-listening to your book, there was somebody writing for something for housing, and it had to do with the foster kids. I don't remember exactly, but there was other stuff like
Yeah, a lot of these, I'm going to call them front groups,
Pretty much.
The age severities are front groups. And I'm just saying, I think they're front groups for a lot of things we don't yet know about.
True.
What Liam Sheff broke was the ultimate horror story.
Oh yeah.
Of the so-called orphans. That just meant that they had wound up in the foster care system. Many of them did still have at least one parent alive.
Taken away from them usually.
Right, roped into this Catholic home for orphans in Washington Heights. And Liam Sheff got in there and gained their trust and documented this just total house of horrors where the children were forcibly drugged, and they ran and they hid and they screamed. They did everything they could. And then if they were they knew that, like, if you fight back, you're going to get the tube. And that meant being taken to a hospital, sedated, and have a GI tube put straight in the stomach. So they mainlined the toxic drug straight into their stomachs. And, we can put links, if there's links after this show.
Most of these people I've seen, I've made about 4 videos. Yeah, I've covered Liam Sheff.
You've done this, yeah. So your audience knows about this.
They know about Liam. Most of them know about Liam. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Liam. That's probably one of the worst topics I've ever had to cover. I mean, there's one other one, but
if you read the words of I used to call them nurses. I thought they were nurses. They're not nurses. They were just hired employees. These women, they had no nursing degrees. And many of them were in there for years, and this was their job, right? But they suffered incredible trauma from what they were asked to do to these kids.
I've listened to one radio interview that Liam did, and one of the nurses, and I think Mimi, yeah, I've used that before. It's a video of mine called, I think I called the video Incarceration Children's Center. And I don't think it's on YouTube though, because they keep deleting me. But yeah, I've covered that with her. I've covered Jonathan Fishbein, which you covered too, because that was part of it, kind of, and John Solomon, the AP reporter.
I mean, it's a depraved culture. It's a depraved culture that is totally indifferent to sadistic torture of children.
Well, here's the thing. That was like 2004 when that happened, right?
Yeah.
Well, there was the Joan Shenton documentary in 1994. I'm pretty sure, not that one. Over in England, and they were testing AZT over there on African children.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how long do you got to do this for? How long do you have to test AZT on orphan black kids? All over the world.
There's a trough. There's different ways that the money flows, but there's a lot of money in human experimentation, and it's very hard to get the kind of children where the family will not sue, where there won't be any pushback. So they like to go to third world countries, former, Eastern European countries. It's awful. It's so depraved. And that's basically what my work has been about, just showing that this whole culture is depraved and dangerous. And it had a really good mask. And the mask was saving lives. Like, people were induced to think the best people in the world were AIDS researchers.
I know.
Like a priesthood.
Well, believe me, it was one thing I've learned. It's a religion, pretty much.
It's a cult, I would say.
Yeah. But it's kind of
weird. Because I think religions aspire to a higher moral code. That's what a religion.
I see what you're saying. But it's like they tried to make it the complete inversion of religion, because it's science. It's quote science, so it's over here. And if you keep both parts, separate in someone's brain, they won't connect it, So right. Just like I grew up an atheist. I had a spiritual awakening like 9 years ago. But up until then, I was the 180 of myself right now. I probably would have been fucking all boosted up and all this shit, or even shot at all,
What was it that caused your spiritual awakening? I'm curious about that.
You want to know the true story?
Yeah.
It might take a minute, but so I was playing in a reggae band around here. I was like 32, already depressed because I'd never made it in music, even though I played in some big band, not big bands, but I played with a lot of big bands and toured with some and stuff in my own bands, but never what I really wanted to aspire to. Not my girlfriend up. She was coming around to my shows bitching at me for playing all the time because I was playing locally in a reggae band. Like sometimes we play 4 or 5 hours a night. So that got on my nerves, even though she was pregnant. So I started banging other chicks on the side. And then she caught me with a chick in a car. We were supposed to be at the studio. I mean, I was supposed to be at the studio. We weren't in the studio. We weren't doing nothing. We're probably smoking a joint. I'm smoking a joint right now, by the way. So I saw her. I was like, oh, fuck, what do I do? I hit the gas and she started chasing us. Me and this other chick, right? This is after my son was born, by the way. So I was still a bastard for a while. And she starts chasing us. I was just saying she's not pregnant. She wasn't pregnant at this point. He was like a month old, probably. I didn't know what to do because I thought I fell in love with this other girl, but it was just, you know what I mean? So she's chasing us through downtown Myrtle Beach. I'm almost out of gas. I'm in my mom's car. I don't have my own car at this point. And she's behind us. I can pull up to the stoplight and she pulls up next to us with a cane with a metal skull on it. And she starts hitting my mom's car like this, hitting at us. I'm like, oh, fuck, what do I do? Police station was right there, downtown Myrtle Beach. So I pull into the police station. I look at the other girl. I'm like, don't hit her back. We deserve this. So she beats our ass. Not really. It didn't hurt her. It's not the first time I got my ass beat by a girl in public, but I'm just saying it didn't hurt her or anything, but she has long fucking nails. So it's pretty bloody. So after that, me and this other chick go on the run for about a week. I had to quit my shitty job I had that I hated. All this other shit. Then I'm finally, like after about 5 days, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? You know, because I didn't have a dad growing up. I mean, I had stepfathers, but I never met my dad at that point. I had since. I had to fly back to Massachusetts, but what am I doing? So I have my mom take this other chick back home. And like, I go back home, I write her a Dear John letter or whatever, go back home, face my own shadows, you know, apologize, all this shit. And, just everything changed after that. Like I stayed at home with my son because I didn't have a job anymore for about 6 months. He was a baby. And, then I read a sentence one day after like, I started meditating and stuff. And I was an atheist, all this other shit. I started meditating and I read a sentence that said, you're a spiritual being living the human experience and you have yet to realize it. And I felt like a shock through my body. Like every cell in my body knew it was true, even though my brain fought against it. And I think everything started changing since then, pretty much.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So you just wanted to do the right thing. You wanted to be good.
Yeah, and I didn't want my, you know, what I went through. But see, I didn't really, it's complicated because I didn't go through that. Like, I had a dad when I was 11 after we moved down south from up north, and my whole world got turned upside down then. And we got in a wreck. Our car got totaled in Baltimore on our way down here. So a truck hit us. So a lot of my shit just went all over the highway. I had to leave it. I thought I was going to die. And, yeah, we got here and stuff. And, my stepfather and mom, I thought he was my dad. Started fighting and stuff, and he started cheating on her with an 18-year-old. He was like 32. And he left her, and he told me the truth. He's like, I'm not your father. I thought he was, you know, my whole life. He was my brother and sister's father, but not mine. But since my spiritual awakening, I've turned everything around. I called him, and I told him that he did a great job, and I'm glad he raised me. And I've met my father, and my father died, my biological father. I went up to Massachusetts, smoked weed with him a few times. Where he died and all that. So yeah, it's really weird. It's really, really, really weird. But that's how it happened pretty much.
Wow. I'm glad to hear that. And now I know you have two lovely children, right? How old are they now?
My son's 9 and my daughter's 7. Yeah. So I came back home and a couple years later, Alfie, my daughter, was born. So I never talked to the other chick again. Never talked to her again. I saw she was in the paper. She was wanted for, I think it's like 2017, 18, wanted for accessory and murder for some drug deal gone wrong. And whoever she was with, I think she got out, but whoever she was with, like shot the guys and they set the car on fire and shit. Yeah, it's pretty bad stuff. So look, I got out when I did, you know. Plus I was on drugs. Oh, not then. I was on methadone, but I got off methadone in 2016. I've been off that ever since too. And now I smoke weed, but.
To me, that sounds like the hand of God pulled you out of the situation.
Well, a couple years after like meditating and going through all this, spiritual things, which took a few years. It didn't happen overnight, but a few years of it. Then I started making videos. So I think it helped because this is a spiritual war, and that helped me prepare for it.
Yeah, the spiritual war. So when did you start doing your investigative
2017.
videos?
2017.
2017. Okay.
Yep, 6 years ago.
Yeah, and how did your life change when you started doing that?
Well, it's pretty stressful. It's pretty stressful. It takes a lot of time. I don't have a lot of time, but it takes a lot of time. Things were going good for a while because I was covering Hollywood a lot. I found the guy that molested Corey Feldman.
Oh, right.
And
You're
then-
the person who figured out who it was, right?
Yes, I'm the person who figured out who it was, Corey Feldman.
And said that you were right.
And he said I was right. And then my channel started blowing up. And I was getting up there, like another year or two. Well, no, it wasn't until early 2021, I think, when they actually deleted me. But it was almost at 100,000 subscribers when I started covering Fauci and COVID. That's when they got me. Yep.
Oh, when you started covering Fauci and COVID is when your channel got deleted?
Yeah, when I was covering Hollywood, things were fine for a couple of years. Covered a lot of Epstein stuff. And then COVID hit. Covered a lot of that stuff, and they got me pretty quick. And they keep getting me. They've deleted me over and over and over again since then.
Yeah, you're pretty hardcore.
Right.
You have a real knack for digging things up.
Yeah, I don't even know why. I don't know. I guess through all that meditation stuff, I kind of learned to trust my intuition above my brain.
Yeah.
Like I know I'm right about stuff, even if I can't find it yet. I may be wrong every now and then, but not usually. I'm not though. It's a fucked up thing. Usually I'm not, and I don't. It's nothing to do with my brain. It's intuitively. I'm not explaining it.
Well, the truth is there for all to see, but some people, usually by way of a very traumatic childhood, which I had as well,
Me too.
is what kind of opens up the portals so that you actually hear it and see it and develop this relationship with it for good or ill.
Yeah.
That's what
here's my superpowers from it all. Here's how I know I'm right, or I know I'm on the right track, or I know I'm doing this video is going to be, pretty good, or, here's my superpowers from it all. I get chills and I cry.
Wow.
Maybe not. Yeah. I'll have tears as I'm making a video, and I get anxiety. So I'd be really anxious, or certain parts. Shit, I was even rereading your book. I was tearing up certain parts.
Do
Peter
you mind
Duisberg,
telling me which parts made you?
The Passion of Peter Duisberg, and of course the foster kids. Which I've covered both very extensively. I know a lot of people don't like Peter. I like him though. I may not agree with everything he says, but I think he did it. I think it's fucking hilarious. I'd like to go fucking party with him, if he was still able to. Carrie Mullis too.
Yeah, what I was going to say is the Passion of Peter Duisberg is chapter 1, and I also get very teary still because it's just such a portrait of. It's beyond bullying, the way they created a whole culture around anti-Duisbergism, which is what I say when in the whole no virus fight.
Yeah,
they're down on him for thinking thinking retroviruses are entities, even if they're harmless, and all of that, right?
Call it what you will. There's something there. I'm disillusioned from viruses. I am. I don't believe in them. There's something there. Call it what you will. I'd still appreciate fucking everything he did and think he's hilarious. You know what I mean?
There's more to it than the science of the viruses this way or that, and angels on the head of a pin and so forth. What he did was to introduce the very notion of opposition, the very notion of rebellion, right? If you look at totalitarian societies, and then there's a little rebel group like the white rose in Germany. It didn't go so well for them, and Hitler's Germany, like Charter 77 in communist Czechoslovakia, like all these, like it's the idea of opposition is separate from the scientific esoterica. And I feel like a lot of people in this fight will not make that distinction.
I think it's a problem too, honestly, because I see people on Twitter start looking into it and stuff, and these people that are so I don't know if it's their attitude or what. Like, I agree with them, but I don't think their attitude helps. It doesn't help people see.
I think there's some kind of spirit that's come in there. That's how I see things. Like I see spiritual, it's like a spiritual infection of some sort. Something cold and brutal has come in to that sphere.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that those people aren't correct, but I think that they need to practice spiritual discernment, if you ask me, because something's attacking them. Something's come in that's hardening. It's hardening. It's ahrimanic. Steiner had that concept of ahriman. Ahrimanic means perfectly cold. So it's like when something hardens and gets cold, it's ahrimanic. Not to use like weird esoteric words, but that's a really good one, ahrimanic. I feel like that virus thing has become ahrimanic.
Yeah, and that's why I always turn people to Dr. Trebing that wrote Goodbye Germ Theory. I mean, yes, I've done a couple of things with him in person, but he's not like that. He's not like it. Like, he understands, like I don't know. And he puts the information, and I'm not saying like everything, fucking do everything in it. Like, think for yourself, of course, but there's always different opinions and stuff. I just don't, they've never scientifically proven the way they said they have to, how these things, work. Like, they've never isolated. And another thing is, because pattern recognition, all these other things they've tried to blame on infectious diseases forever. Maybe not forever, but since like scurvy, pellagra, SMON, SMON. What else is there? There's more. Beriberi. And then like other ones which haven't really been definitely proven yet, but of course I think so. Polio, HIV. It's always an infectious disease because that's how they can control people. But it usually ends up not being that way. It just it's a war to fight them. You know what? SMON went on for 20 years or something like that? 30 years? 20 years? Yeah. I don't remember exactly, but I didn't know about any of that either until like 2 years ago. I might make a video about it.
Well, there's just this wasteland of a deliberate non-knowing of what causes disease, i.e. terrain theory. It's just it got aborted, it got abandoned.
Yeah.
And hundreds of millions of people have perished because there's simply no funding around it, and there's no religion around it trying to.
Yeah, really. You said that right.
Money is in the single pathogen theory, which is a war model, right? It's like a war, enemy, terrorist, and nature doesn't work like that. The human body doesn't work like that. It's what you would expect from the military-industrial complex, and that's who brought us these things. Yep. Yeah, so it's like war games, right? Around an invisible spectral.
It's kind of weird because the virus looks like a mine in the water, those water mines.
Right.
That's what it reminds me of. I'm scratching a pit bull's ass right now. I'm not ashamed of it because my dog, I have 2 dogs, but this dog, about a month ago, I didn't think she was gonna make it. She was lying. I don't know if she hurt herself or I thought she had hip dysplasia. She was laying around. She'd whimper through the night here and there. I'd wake up and I had like a big syringe, not like to shoot her up, but to like give her water. She was limping for a while. Like, I nursed her back to health. She's like 100% again. My pit bull. She's like 12 years old. Yeah, she's like doing great now. But like a month ago, I didn't think she was going to make it.
Wow. What did you use to get her back to health?
Well, I supplements with glucosamine, something called MSM.
Yeah, I love MSM.
Yeah, other stuff except for dog. Like, I did some research on it and stuff. I had a subscriber send me some stuff. Thankfully, because it's pretty expensive. But yeah, all this stuff I give her 3 a day. Like, I was giving her that. I was giving her other stuff. I tried to go to an online vet because I didn't want to take her out of the house, and that because said they couldn't prescribe anything, so it was like a waste of money, $60. But she's fine now. She's like doing better than my other dog.
Wow, that's great.
Oh yeah, I know. I've talked to.
You know to watch out for. I know you know to watch out for vaccines, but you also have to watch out for commercial dog food. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't do as good a job there, but I probably need to. I do give them wet food now. I used to not, but since I have like the golden girls of dogs, my border collie is like 14, 15. My pit bull is like 12. So I've had them both forever. But yeah, it's funny you mentioned that though, because Susie, my girlfriend, was gonna bring her cat. She's like, I need to bring the cat to the vet for shots. I'm like, you probably don't want to do that. I'm like, no. If it's vaccine, there's no. I'm sorry. I'm just telling you the truth. It's your cat. Do what you want. But if it's a vaccine, there's no purpose for it at all. Not a good one, at least. Except maybe to make her die sooner or get sick in some other way. Then that's all God's honest truth. No purpose.
Yeah.
So she hasn't. She hasn't brought it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God she saw through some of it. I mean, maybe not to the extent I have, but yeah. I don't know.
I have a story I'm about to write up at my Substack about what happened the last time I took my cat Lewis to a vet. And it's a very, very alarmist story about why to be very careful about going to a vet these days.
Is that the one that recently passed?
No, he passed.
Well, it was a couple months ago.
Nothing to do with the vet.
Nothing to do with the vet.
Jack passed. No, this was my younger cat Lewis, who.
Okay, it was the other cat that passed.
I had given him some ivermectin a little too much, and he was his eyes got funny, and I took him in, and they have a whole protocol where you have to call poison control and say how much the cat weighs and how much they got. I'm gonna write all this up. So
yeah, I put your Substack in the description, so everybody should be able to see it.
Yeah, well, so if you know what, I'm actually going to stop myself because I want to tell the story on my Substack. I want to kind of say what happened, but that's just the lead up to it. What happened next was very shocking. He's still alive. He's probably here somewhere. Sorry, he'll probably
jump bites my legs. Her cat bites my legs. I should have let her get vaccinated.
Vet culture has gotten depraved as well. Has totally depraved.
Can you get up?
Totally. Not that there aren't good vets, but they've become overtaken by this.
I don't know if she can get up. She's still a little meatball. I was trying to get her up because sometimes my border collie. Nope, she's doing a circle. Never mind. You don't want to show off? All right. She just wants me to scratch her ass. Back her tail's wagging. Her tail just keeps wagging. You're so happy, aren't you, Boo Boo? Seriously, I didn't think she was going to make it. Come here. Can you get up? Nope. Doing a circle.
Well, there you go. There it is. Trust your instincts.
Definitely.
That's what we all have to do all the time in every situation. That's what this whole era we're in is about. Like we're taking it back from we just outsourced everything to the experts.
Sorry.
The daddy figures.
I'm gonna see if anybody has any questions here. Does anybody have any questions? I know we've been going for a little bit, but I want to see. Boo Boo is better. Yes, girl. Boo Boo is better. Like 100% better. It's ridiculous. She was limping for a while. I didn't look at the chat at all forever. So sorry about that. But there's like 110 people in here.
Can I see the chat or no?
If you go to my YouTube, you should be able to see it.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I can email you a link.
Oh, that's okay. I'm afraid if I anything, I'll disconnect myself.
I know, really. Did Celia write for Spin? Yes, she wrote for Spin. She wrote for Rolling Stones and Harper's and others, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever did you ever cover music for Spin, or just like
a little bit? It was it was a music magazine. And
of course, I know what Spin was.
Right, obviously, yeah. And so then there was this kind of Siberia that was referred to as the non-music part of the magazine. And I was very much in the Siberia of non-music. So there was not a lot of encouragement for the non-music people to write about music, but I got to do a few. I got to interview Pete Townsend. That was absolutely in 1993. It took me 2 years, start to finish, to transcribe. It was the longest interview. I don't know. It wasn't one interview. It was just transcription was always my downfall. Oh my gosh, transcription. So that was before,
you would tape
voice
record.
So I had to like type every single word.
Did you have to tape record it? Yeah, you tape record everything. Yeah, and then wrote it down. Yeah. I hate typing stuff. I couldn't imagine.
I still have all my tapes somewhere. I got to do Roseanne Barr. That wasn't music,
really?
It was pop culture. It was a cover story. Yep.
That's cool.
And she mentioned me the other day in an interview.
Really?
I was so happy. Yeah, she said she remembered, because when I met her, she had read my Out of Africa series that's in the book. Those 2 articles.
Yeah.
In the 90s. She said,
Really?
"Oh, you wrote those articles. I give those to all my friends." Because now, now it all makes sense. Roseanne, right? She was totally of all the BS. I love her.
Very cool.
Let's see. They sent me out to interview John Bon Jovi once. That was super. And I had this odd. Oh, and I did David Cassidy.
Who? David Cassidy or David who?
Let's interview David Cassidy. That was really something, because when I was a little kid in the 70s, everything was led by my sister. Was the one who figured everything out,
she still is a musician.
What was what, and then I sort of came after and just aped whatever she thought was cool. But so we were completely obsessed about David Cassidy, like every red-blooded American girl in the 70s, right? So David Cassidy was just the absolute, dream. And especially if you were having a bit of a hard time in your childhood, that the way they wrote those songs and the whole thing was like trance and escape and trauma relief.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I wound up interviewing him for Spin. He was making a comeback, or maybe even the Partridge Family was making a comeback. And I wrote a piece that was about what he was actually a genuinely great singer, great singer. And I would say a great artist. And so were the people who wrote those songs. I was actually re-listening to some of them just today. And so I did the interview, and the tape recorder had malfunctioned. Couldn't believe it. David Cassidy, right? If you told my 6 or 7-year-old self that there would come a day when I'd be in the room with him, and I don't really do like idolatry or idols or like I just wanted to talk to the scientists, but that was a big deal, David Cassidy. So there's nothing on the tape, and he was so nice, and he said, "Well, tell you what, give me your number. We'll meet again. We'll go to dinner, and you'll re-interview me." Mm-hmm. So we did. We went to this restaurant on West 18th Street, Italian restaurant. And I swear to God, this is what happened. The waiter came over and said, may I tell you about the specials tonight? We have a wonderful grilled partridge. We both just burst out laughing. And the waiter was Italian. He didn't know that was David Cassidy. Never before or since, never has any waiter mentioned partridge, the bird, as food. Never. So
I didn't fucking know it was a bird.
Explain things like that, But yeah, he was a really nice guy. So no, that was a big digression. But no, I got to write occasionally about music, but not so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I was wondering, because I remember Spin back in the day. I was playing grunge in the early 90s. I started playing concerts in 1994 in a shitty ass, I was 14 in a shitty ass grunge band, but I remember Spin. I liked it better than Rolling Stone. Definitely.
That was the idea. People exactly like you. Not that there's anybody exactly like you, but
hell no. Right.
Supposed to prefer Spin to Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Rolling Stone actually has done a lot of really good journalism. I don't know who owns it now. It's dreadful. It's awful.
Oh yeah, I remember that one story.
Bought it. Some weird guy bought it from Jan Wenner. I don't know what happened, but
I remember that ivermectin story. That they never really retracted. They just kind of put an update in there saying that it was that somebody said it was fake or whatever. But I don't if you remember that story about everybody lined up, gunshot wounds and stuff. Yeah.
No, it's a husk of its former self.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. That's pretty cool. What else? I never looked at the questions. What I'm gonna do, though, I'll be honest with you, I'm gonna chop this up because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing when we started. So I don't even think I got rock film working. I'll put my song on the front, and we'll just make it that way. The old-fashioned way.
Look for questions because I can't see anything. I can't see.
Somebody mentioned this, and I'll mention it too. I meant to mention it. Not that whatever, but when you mentioned Pete Townsend, I made a video about him because I don't know if you know this. He got arrested for paying for child porn. He says it was for research for his autobiography, but he actually did get arrested for child porn for downloading it and paying with a credit card. Yeah.
Yes. Well, let me just represent what I know about that and what he has said about that. So here's what not a lot of people know. The Scotland Yard or whoever they are.
I think it was. Yeah.
They took every computer in his house. I think it was about 12. And they searched him, and there was nothing on anything. He was totally clean. He was caught in some kind of drug. He was the first to admit that he said. So what he said is that he used his credit card to cross over the Rubicon, and he wanted to research and see. Now I do know that he works a lot with survivors of incest. Battered women, women's shelters. He does a ton of work that nobody knows about. Yeah. And I got to know him pretty well. And I'll just say for as far as I'm concerned, what his explanation actually does fit with, like, if you know him, he would do something like that. To like really want to know something.
I don't want to.
He said it was incredibly stupid, right?
Yeah.
But what people don't know is that they took every computer, they found nothing. That's why they let him go. So it's like a stain on his name, but not.
I did hear that. They took everything.
Yeah, it wasn't like he was secretly stashing all kinds of child porn. No. However, people are into the whole Pete Townsend thing. Tommy, and I'm an enormous Who fan. Tommy is essentially it's about incest and trauma.
Yeah.
The album. So and he has said it in interviews. He was put through some stuff as a child.
Yeah, I meant to read his book. I haven't read it yet, though. I forget what it's called.
I absolutely love him, and I believe him, and I don't believe he was guilty. I believe for some reason they nabbed him instead of like Jimmy Savile. Excuse me,
Well, that's what I was gonna say. If he would have got busted,
whatever. Right?
He would have got off pretty easily.
Right. Oh, sorry. I get so worked up because it's like it's one of the tools that's used to entrap and demoralize and take actually really good people out, and then they let the bad ones go. So it's like a knife that cuts all different ways. You got to be real careful with that. And they also can plant child porn on
I know
of dissenting people. That's not what happened in his case.
But, no. But I'm saying if there was more, he would have got off even easier probably because for some reason you made me think about, you remember what's his name? Isaac Asimov. He wrote his son was busted with one of the biggest child porn reproducing centers in California. And
really? I didn't know that.
Because guess who let him off with like not even jail time. Mueller was like the head. I don't think it was the FBI at that point. I think it was like some California attorney. Just let him off. So he got busted with like all this child porn, all the stuff to reproduce child porn, like fucking laser scanners, everything. Nothing.
Right.
No jail time. No jail time.
If it's a genuine child porn person, they're gonna have a lot like that in their.
I see what you're saying.
Right, and so that's what did not. I just feel like if we had a remotely fair world, they would have done a follow-up story. I know this because I stayed in touch with them, and it was through a correspondence. So I know that they searched everything and they found nothing. So it's a stain that never goes away, but I think it was a terrible miscarriage of justice in his case. Although, as he always said, he did something very stupid. One thing.
Yeah. I figured I'd say that since you mentioned him. But
Well, not exactly stupid, but like yeah, I mean to not. I don't think stupid is quite the right word, but again, knowing him, I can see how he would really want to. He would be like, I got to understand this. I got to understand this.
unfortunately, I don't even think that video of mine's around anymore because a lot of my earlier ones aren't. There was more that I made back then. I know I made one about him, but I don't think you can even view him anymore because I left everything used to back up from my YouTube to BitChute. But this is in 2017, 2018. Some of them didn't process right. I don't think that one did either.
Like Pete Townsend is not. I mean, he lived the rock and roll life, but he's a moral person. He's a person who believes he has fought so hard for so many, I mean, real causes, not like the glitzy causes. He's a really morally generous and hardworking person who has really, really worked on himself. So
I don't know. I don't know personally or anything.
I know about Pete Townsend now, but I just want to. I do get defensive because I know him.
Yeah.
And he's a wonderful person. He's a wonderful. I don't know him. You're not like you can always say, "Oh, you don't really know somebody," but
you felt it. You felt that. That's how you felt about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. And actually, I told him about the whole AIDS thing.
Did you?
Back then. Oh yeah, I did, because I said, listening to your music caused my brain to think like this. Because it did, right?
What was that thing in Baba O'Reilly? What's that called? Where it goes around and around? Maybe it was that caused your brain to do it. What is that called though? I don't know what it's called.
That synthesizer loop.
Yeah, but it's like something. It spins around. Look at me. I look like an asshole doing this.
Well, no, I mean the words, the words were all about transcend false authority. Find your inner truth.
What's that called though? It's called something in music where I can't think of it. I'm a musician. I should know this.
You're talking about the opening synth loop and
but it's something like it's like a speaker that spins around. Like it's not like almost like
ex-husband would know. I don't know.
Somebody knows it. Somebody tell me what it is. Has anybody said anything else? Wrench, Adolf. They keep deleting my channels, and I don't go live on this channel usually. So,
but Jamie, how can I? I want to see the questions. Wait, I'm gonna put my glasses on. Let's see. Can I see? Chat. Oh.
What?
I got it. Chat. Okay.
Oh, you can see it.
Oh, I don't see anybody. Wait, if I type a message, here we go. Hi, Jamie. Tell me if you can see this. Updating
wrong one.
conversation.
No, wrong one. Does Celia think the gays will ever wake up and see HIV fraud? Some of them were. Some of them were. Yeah. Like John Lauritsen. Like I have a lot of respect for John Lauritsen, and unfortunately, he just passed last year. But
John Lauritsen was a titan. I mean, John Lauritsen was to be a gay man, and he was Harvard educated, a scholar, and just to stand, and he knew a lot about art and classical literature, and he was amazing.
You know what he reminded me of? He reminded me of a gay deputy dog. Is that what it was? The way he talked? The deputy dog?
Yeah.
I mean that with respect, because I have a lot of respect for him. Everybody that stood up
from the gay community, but he was like a firewall against all of it. He and his editor, his publisher, Chuck Ortlib.
Yep. He's got a snippet of one of his books on Audible. I read it a long time ago. I gotta read it again. It's just like Fauci. I think it's Fauci, the Bernie Madoff of science, or something like that. It's only like an hour long, but it's a snippet from one of his books.
He's a mad genius.
You know what's weird? When I was like 18, I was tattooing. I wasn't good at it. I just had a tattoo machine. So I used to tattoo my friends with a needle and Indian ink. We would get a sewing needle. My mom taught me this, by the way. Wrap some thread around it. And you dip it in Indian ink, and you poke yourself, right? So it's like a bunch of dots, and it equals tattoo eventually.
Okay.
So when I was like 18, I got a machine, and I was practicing. I wasn't any good at it though. And this lesbian couple that worked with my mom at Walmart, or at least one of them, wanted tattoos, and I tattooed this one of the lesbian from the couple, Now, the only thing I didn't like, she had like leathery skin. I didn't like that, but I had never thought about this before because I didn't know. I did a tattooed New York native on her. I just thought this because I swear to God, this is 25 years ago. I just figured it meant she was from New York, but now knowing about the paper New York native, maybe it was because she was like a flaming ass lesbian, maybe it was New York native.
Yeah, I don't think that paper had a lot of lesbian readers. No, I'm not sure.
Oh, just for guys? All right, mate. It's just something I recently thought of, though, because I never heard of it. I don't think she was a chick with a dick or anything. I think they were straight up, But yeah, who knows? Chuck
wrote a satirical comic masterpiece called Iron Peter. If anyone can, maybe it's on one of his websites or something. It's an unbelievably funny satirical take on AIDS. Unbelievable book. Iron Peter by Charles Ortlib or Chuck Ortlib. Probably says Charles Ortlib.
That
drop it. I'll send it across.
If you send me a link, I'll put it in the thing. That little Audible thing, it's pretty good. Like he goes into it about how everybody in media, medicine, blah blah blah, everything else thought what was going on with AIDS was normal, completely normal. But if you look underneath the surface, reveals like I forget the fucking words he uses, but he just pretty much calls it a genocide. It's from like one of his books. I think it's from iatrogenic side. Iatrogenic side. I can't even say that. I never tried to say it out loud before. I don't think. Iatrogenic side.
Iatrogenic side. Yeah. Well, there were a lot of us. We were a motley crew in many countries, and everybody approached it differently. Everyone had a different take or a different obsession.
Yeah, I see that. I know he was into the chronic fatigue syndrome thing.
Fatigue syndrome was his. Yep. And I had chronic fatigue. I had everything. I had Lyme disease, chronic fatigue syndrome, mold toxicity, mercury. I've been fighting chronic illness for a long time. I'm doing pretty well, thank God, right now. But he was and is in disagreement with a lot of other dissidents. I mean, it's not like one big happy family.
Oh, I know. Sure. Yeah. But that's the thing where I respect other people's opinions. You can't agree about everything, but there's certain main things that it really is like a story. Like it really could be a movie. This whole fucking AIDS thing, HIV thing, like the whole story with you and Peter Duesberg and Carrie Mullis later, but John Lauritsen, Joan. They really could.
They bullied the native out of business. They called a gay community-wide boycott that was very serious against the New York native until finally the paper went under.
Really?
And it was tragic. I don't know why Chuck doesn't talk about it more. Maybe I don't know. It was awful. There's so many examples of where the activists came after, they just got scalps. I was one of them. I didn't work for 12, 13 years. At all. And that's when they come after you, they make sure not only that you don't work again, your name is destroyed.
It's almost like that's their job, is to come after you, right?
Yeah, they're extreme militant targeting beyond bullies. Like there's a lot I could say, but
why aren't you guys working? Well, they were at work, probably.
What'd you say?
Like that's how when people fuck with me like that, I'm like, why aren't these people fucking working? Why aren't they at work? Because I've been gang stalked and fucked with online at least. It was almost like they were getting paid to do it.
They are at work. That's their job.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, exactly. This is a few years ago. I had some other shit going on, but that's exactly what I felt. But it really could be a movie. All this shit.
They're professional. Professional assassins, bloodless assassins. Like they study people. They figure. There's I try to avoid talking about the targeting stuff.
I know I do too. Even the little bit I got it, and it was online. I don't like talking about because you know what? It will come back.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. If you ignore it and like fucking, it's different now. I blocked them years ago and stuff and ignore them. They can say whatever the fuck they want about me. Fuck them, But
well, once you get your shield right, your spirit shield, then they can't do much to you.
Exactly.
But I didn't have that.
I didn't have it either for a while.
yeah, very close to death, because they can bully people to death.
Yes, I can
I've
see how
seen
that
them do.
is. I can see how that is. It's a different, like I said, it's a different time, different age, but I can still see it because it just fucks with you mentally, constantly. And it's like, I don't know. But you know what I was just thinking about? When I was 16, I played in a shitty band. And at the time, you would get shows wherever you could around here. Because, bars open, bars close, blah, blah, blah. And as a teenage punk band, not much you can do. So the guy that was singing for us got us a show at a gay bar. And it was for everybody. It's just somebody that would let punk bands play, right? Because we were never homophobic or anything like that. Because I think punk rock wasn't, you couldn't be. Look at it. I mean, to the extreme now. I mean, I was pretty much like an Antifa kid. I have a anti-swastika tattoo. It wasn't called Antifa. It was called Anti-Racist Action. But so, yeah, that was like one of the principles. And, I see through all the bullshit now. But like, I remember being 16 and playing this gay bar. It was called Tailgates. I remember the phone number, 293 Pride, Tailgates. But they were the teenage bands play there. That's kind of weird. They were service alcohol and stuff. I don't think I ever passed out or anything, so I think I'm all right. But there was a poster of Jonathan Taylor Thomas on the wall from Tool Time, or I call it the time, Home Improvement. And there was a shelf, and I thought it said anal nitrates. Sold here. I thought it was anal but I was a kid. It just recently clicked, over the last 2 to 3 years. This is 1996. They were still selling them at the gay bars.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind trying them, not because of the anal using it. I heard there's like a rush. Just don't overdo it. I didn't know anything about them though.
That was the CDC's first theory of AIDS that was caused by amyl nitrates.
Kaposi sarcoma. But if you look at videos like that one that you and me were doing a while ago, and it had that guy, and he had like the red nose and little red here. Is that like from England, I think, or Europe? Yeah, UK. And it's like, it's my, this is my life, or I forget what he said, but obviously you weren't sniffing fucking.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, obviously, you were sniffing something all night for years, abusing it, right? Because look where it is. It's like right on his nose and stuff like that. It's just like, it's like so obvious.
The ethos was, the diktat was, you do not talk about drugs. You don't talk about addiction. You don't talk about toxic effects of drugs on the body. You don't talk about antibiotics effect on the body. You don't talk about just the sheer stress of being in this kind of parallel universe, like the bathhouse culture, being excluded from society. And of course, then there was this kind of embracing through AIDS, like, you're not excluded, we love you. But it wasn't real love. It was like, if you agree to be victims of AIDS, and red ribbon soldiers,
the red ribbon, yep,
you'll get these. So the whole thing was a massive targeting of gay men, of black people, of poor people, of same as ever. It was a vicious eugenics campaign. I mean, I'm putting it in past tense. It's still alive out there. AIDS, the beast is still out there, but the COVID beast has kind of pushed it to the side.
Yep. Kind of taken over for it. I don't know if you saw my last video. I just made a video. I found when I was helping you with the book research, I had run across, I'd sent you a text of it a while ago. It just came across my mind again. David Ho, monoclonal antibodies, and with help from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It was 2019. That was for HIV, of course, which doesn't make sense, because if they're going to give monoclonal antibodies for HIV, wouldn't that make you show positive, like in a test? You know what I mean? It's like all contradictions and everything.
I mean, I give up with these people. It makes any sense. That
would make you test positive, right? Well, like that matters, though. It doesn't really matter.
Well, so the madness is that people were induced to stare at the results of an antibody test or a viral load result. So it's, Lynn Margulis used to call it numerology, instead of any knowledge with or connection to your own body. What's happening? What am I doing to my? So you have to be totally disassociated from yourself, first of all, through trauma, to be like prepared for all these toxins that they want to give you. And this is what they brainwashed generations of gay men with. Like, there's no such thing as health. There's just us and our pills, and you'll take them, and we are the wizards, and we're going to give you we're going to wizard forth the perfect combination So we're going to tell you that your numbers look good, and then you're going to go home and think, oh, good, I'm not going to die from this, and I can keep all my stuff going. Everything I like to do, I'll keep it going.
Yeah.
So there's never a chance for what everybody has to go through, right? Like what you went through, I've gone through, where you have to think about what am I doing to harm myself, and why am I doing this? Why am I harming myself? How do I get well? How do I reconnect? You know, so they took all these traumatized people and just gave them like a church of traumatic poisoning.
Yeah. It's weird though, like, Jim, I was just thinking. I had something. I think I lost it though.
Okay.
I was thinking something. I don't know. I just got lost though. If it's important, it'll come back. But no, it is. It's crazy. It's all crazy. It's like I'm still fascinated by it. I keep coming back to it. I'll make other videos and stuff, but I keep coming back to it. I guess it's not.
Yeah, keep making videos. You're way ahead of so many people. I just hope you keep making videos, and because the story isn't over.
There's so much to it already. Though. And like, if you guys didn't do what you did, though, like you just laid all this ground. You know,
we didn't burst.
Well, it must have been harder back then.
It was an impossible situation.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that now. You know, and I see people talking about it all the time, though, like online, at least. So
people are so interested in this. It's very bizarre to me. Like, how are people interested in it now?
Because we didn't know. I didn't know. And I was born in 1980. So my whole life, not that I was scared of it or anything. I really didn't give a fuck, but still, like how big this lie is. And, I know some people don't like to ascribe motive, try to make say a motive out of it, but there's many, I guess. There's many motives. You can't pin it down to one thing. Whether it was a mistake at first, it wasn't. No. Gallo was already a fucking. No. He was already a scumbag. Lying all the goddamn time. So of course it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mistake.
No.
Done on purpose. Exactly.
Yes.
Now, maybe not by everybody, but in the beginning it was done on purpose, and then it just kept going on purpose. That's why I think it comes down to overpopulation. Well, to make money and overpopulation, but I think overpopulation is the biggest thing, because that's been like one of their biggest concerns for the last 100 years. At least.
I think we don't know yet what it's. Let's just say it's a huge tool in the toolbox of the globalist cabal.
Well, if they've never scientifically proven that what they call virus, which actually means poison, which makes a lot of sense, because honestly, if you just stand on your head and look around, it's gonna be a lot closer to the truth. It's gonna be the inversion, whatever the inversion is to what they say, what they do. Right. That's usually right. So. If that has never been scientifically proven, and especially with retroviruses that they say kill you by reverse transcribing, then they would definitely want to create something. That's their wet dream, to create something that does what they say retroviruses do, which is mRNA, because it reverse transcribes into your cells.
Right.
So if there's no viruses, there's no way to gain a function, something that they've never proven existed anyway.
Well, so you're saying that the COVID shots are like the fulfillment of the dark fantasy of the AIDS.
Exactly.
Lords.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
It's something I've thought about at least, and I don't hope so, because I think we all have family, and even some people probably here have, and I don't hope it will on anybody, but I am worried. I've lost like 3 friends my age in the last year. Died in their sleep.
To what? What happened?
You can't talk about it. Nobody knows. My friend Dennis, 42 years old, died in his sleep. I think they say because he's like a raging alcoholic, but like nobody. You're not allowed to ask anymore. Nobody asks. I feel like I don't want to scare my friends, but I don't talk about this shit with my friends really. Because like even my singer, who's my best friend, he's got I know he's even been boosted. I don't want him to die. I am worried though. So it's like I go to this funeral. I can't ask. I'm assuming some shit. I am assuming. And guess what? His uncle, that lived with them too, because my singer lived there too, just had a heart attack Sunday. He's older though. He had to be like 60 something. He's still alive now though. I'm assuming like a motherfucker. I don't know for sure, but it ain't normal. I just lost another friend that was my age. I don't know. You can't ask. And another friend, I saw his mom at Walmart. I went to school with him. We were like, not like close friends. I mean, one of them, we were close friends when we were younger, but, you know, I hadn't talked to him in 10 years. But he lived with my singer recently, like, till he died. He's closer to him. But I saw this one guy's mom, and she's like, yeah, Jason was he's 41, 42, camping with his family. And when they woke up, he was still sitting out by the fire dead.
What?
Yeah. The other one, Dennis, dead in his bed, 42. That just happened a couple months ago. And another one, around maybe 43. Nobody says how, nobody says why. They just die. It's like,
right. And the phenomenon is, of course, called, we call it died suddenly, right? Mark Crispin Miller documents them all the time on Substack.
That's all on Substack.
Has put out a book about it. And it's, it's so weird to live through this, because back in the day when people were dying of, okay, so in the beginning, there was a syndrome called AIDS for real. Then AZT came in, and then it was impossible to tell who was an AZT death, but it sort of turned into toxic AZT deaths. And so then you had this, it was impossible to discern anymore what anybody was dying of. However, there was a very strong cultural, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Like when somebody died anywhere in this matrix, HIV positive, anyone who was HIV positive and died, there was a big reaction. Like it was taken as these deaths were considered very tragic and very serious.
Yeah.
Now the people who are dying after they've been injected with the shots, and we know why we think they've died.
Yeah.
Okay, so we understand that's the big taboo. You can't say that. But what's also happened is their deaths are just not marked or registered or taken seriously at all. They're very light. They're like, it's like, oh, somebody died, somebody just die. And
a friend of mine
in the papers, and so I've keyed in on the language. It's like such and such, 28 years old, died suddenly, doing what he loved the most. Let's say it was somebody dancing with the stars. Like I was writing about them, also collecting them for a big piece that was going to run in the Defender, but didn't. And you always saw it. So I was thinking, how are they narrating these deaths? So first of all, they've removed like the gravitas. There's no big reaction. It's just like, oh, such and such, 28 years old, 32 years old, editor at the Washington Post, or contender with Dancing with the Stars, or whatever, like these notable people, known people. And the earmarks were died doing what he or she loved most, which is supposed to make you think, oh, so it's all good then. Mm-hmm. And the other is how much this person was loved, how much they're missed on social media, like love, or outpouring of love. And I see these are smoke screens.
Yeah.
All this stuff, it's just smoke screens. So you're not thinking, wait, what?
How'd they die?
Died? That's really weird.
It just happened. People just drop that all the time. Any age.
You're not allowed to react anymore.
No. I mean, these people I knew personally, and I can't even say anything to my friends. It's like the mass
industrialization of sudden death, all ages, all walks of life.
Yeah.
On stages, on television, on name it, football field, like, and you're just supposed to go, like you can't even ask, well, what did they die? No, you can't. No autopsy.
No autopsy. Exactly. Nobody fucking says a thing. I still don't know anything. I had a friend who's somebody I know personally. I didn't know his son. I know him personally. My 17-year-old son died day after Christmas, 2022. I fucking searched, like, I stopped searching. I could not find it because I know his son's full name. Can't find anything. His 17-year-old son died day after Christmas, 2022. And I have no idea how. Nobody says anything. It's fucking insane.
Wait, how did you find out that his son?
Because he posted it. He posted it on Facebook. I just lost my 17-year-old son, blah, blah, blah. And, of course, I apologize.
But it was not like a drug overdose.
Nobody says. I mean, maybe. but they don't, nobody says, and I can't ask. I feel like it's taboo to ask. Yeah, I don't want to ask them.
It's totally taboo to ask.
Yeah. Well, how do you do? I mean, that's what I want to know. That's why I tried to find it like separately. I can't find it.
Oh yeah, and if you see on social media, if somebody says had he or she gotten the shots, there are these entities that come in like, you are the worst filth scum of the earth. How
dare you? A bunch of Greta Thunbergs. How dare you? Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's the lowest thing you could possibly do. So it's all very, very twisted. It's very twisted. And this is what I always said about AIDS. Like, this is weird and twisted and dark.
It is.
Doesn't anybody see how screwed up everything is in this sphere? And people are like, what? They're fighting AIDS. They're raising money.
Yeah, they are. They're raising money. That's for sure. Definitely raising money.
That was another part of the psyop, right? That there's never enough money for AIDS research.
There never is.
Trillions, because the mystery of the virus.
Yeah, it's the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Again, yeah. We're trapped in this thing, and I don't know how we're going to get out of it. But to bring
up Liam Sheff again, he had a great analogy. Rest in peace. But he said, I made a video about him called and about the foster kids. I made like 4 videos about those kids.
Okay, excellent. Yep.
Yeah, and so at one of them, he's like, it's called Scientific Journalism is Dead. He mentions you in it. Scientific journalism is dead. At the end, he's like, scientists are people just hone in on one thing. Like, all right, we're researching the color yellow. We can't see anything else but yellow, but we're starting to see some variations in yellow. So we're going to need some more money, but we got to just keep on looking at yellow and just, we're going to need some more money. And he was absolutely right.
Yeah. And Carrie Mullis said, the mystery of that damn virus comes from the $2 billion a year they put into it. You put $2 billion into anything and you make a mystery out of that too. It was so perfect the way he said it. But I'm not a science journalist, and I never was. I want to be clear about that. To me, this has nothing to do with science.
You're right. There's a story behind it. It just happens to be what they are.
There's science-y stuff in it, right? It's about certainly it's about the infiltration and co-option and rape of science, but it's not actual science. Science, pure science, is very beautiful. Scientists are beautiful beings when you hear them, when they're free to behave as real scientists.
Real ones or whatever. But yeah.
So what I chronicled was sort of like the final pogrom and persecution of the last real scientists in America. Now they're still here, and they're all over the place. I don't mean the last ones, but that's what they is purge, is rip out and destroy scientific impulse in the science. Never mind person walking down the street thinking about these things, because we all have to be epidemiologists and virologists and scientists now, right? Just to survive these people.
Really.
Survive them.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to read some of the stuff, but you got to. Well, I think I have to go let Boo Boo out. So I think it's been an hour and a half. I'm going to cut the beginning out, put some music to it, and I think we'll be all right. I'm going to re-upload it everywhere, though. So I think we did pretty good after the first 10 minutes. Had to get it going.
I had a great time, Jamie. You're the best. All right. Go to Boo Boo.
She needs to be. Yeah, well, she's Nixie originally, but she's like a big Boo Boo teddy bear, so we've been calling her Boo Boo since she was a little puppy. She's a little demanding right now, too. So, all right, everybody, thanks for joining us. I put links in the description. Go follow Celia on Substack, and I should have your book hard copy tomorrow, so I'm excited.
Excellent. All right.
Well, I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later.